Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Quarantine series, the Quarantine film series. I'm your host, Kabir Segel, coming to you live from the ATL, Atlanta, Georgia. Hot Atlanta. Actually raining right now, but it's hot sometimes. I want to say hi to my mom and dad who are watching downstairs. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks to all of you for watching around the world. We have a very special international edition today, so that's very exciting. Brought to you by the Miracles of Technology. Quarantine series here is all about putting the spotlight on creative people. These are the individuals who write the books, make the music, create the films that really entertain and provoke and challenge us throughout the year. So please, if you can, support the projects you learn about on this broadcast. In addition, let's think local. Everyone's, kind of going through a difficult time, especially in the creative community. So, if you can support the local bookshop or the local film festival, I think artists and audiences, we need each other during this difficult time to get through it. So first, let us know where you're watching from. We've got Copenhagen in the house today. We got Atlanta. We got Southern California in the house today. Let us know where you're watching from. Drop a comment in the comment field. And I always get excited by the international audience. I can't travel anywhere, so tell me where you are. In addition, if you have a question, let us know what's on your mind. If you want to know something during the broadcast or during the rebroadcast, just drop it in the comment field, and we'll be sure to opine to your questions. All right, now for the main event, the heavyweight match. Our guest is an award-winning filmmaker. Let me tell you about him. He's live in Copenhagen, which we're excited about. Recent films, A New Beginning. It was selected for the August New Orleans Film Festival, and we're going to talk about this project. We're also going to talk about some of his other projects that you may have heard about, called Going Home, Free My Hands. So please welcome the terrific filmmaker, Ala'A Mohsen. Welcome. All right, great. I'm so glad you're here. Tell me first, how are you? How are you doing during this period of quarantine?
I'm good. I've been used to it now because it's like in Denmark it started around March 20, and in the first couple of months, 3-4 months, there was like a total lockdown. But after the summer, there have been kind of part lockdown. So some companies have opened, so I can go to work. But still, we have this kind of social distancing. But yeah, we can't travel. It's more limitation. Some projects, some productions is difficult to make because now we can't in Denmark. We can't be in places more than 9 person in a room. So, but it's good. I try to stay positive and yeah.
So you're telling me we can invite 8 people over to your home right now, and that would be it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, if we want to make like film some like communities and things, it's difficult. So
Yeah.
some documentary projects are like postponed, and I've been lucky before the corona. I started writing fiction, so I'm doing that right now. So it doesn't affect my writing. It's cool.
Well, I'm glad you're finding it time to be creative and to write. Tell me, what is your typical day like? Do you structure your time? Is it very rigorous? Do you get up at the same time? Do you have your daily vitamins? What is the day? Do you go for a walk? What's the typical life like for you?
Yeah, it depends because we are very in the north, and I'm originally from Iraq. I came to Denmark when I was 12 years, and I'm 31. So for me, it have always been a struggling. The winter is the struggling time because we don't have so much of sun. It's gray, so I try to stay healthy, go out, walk, wake up very early. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Well, you mentioned Iraq, and let's talk about your film Going Home,
Yeah.
as it includes you going home to Iraq, which you left as a kid. So, tell us about why you wanted to make this Going Home story. Why were you called to do it?
I'm it's now 10 years ago since I made it. I was like 20 years old kid that struggled or had a kind of feet in the Danish culture and the Iraqi culture, while I haven't been there for many years. And oh, sorry, my kid, my girl, little baby is crying,
It's all
but my
good.
wife is there. I'm so sorry. Uh, can you hear it, or is it?
We can hear everything, but that's fine. It's part of the
Oh,
quarantine. It's
all
part
right.
of, keep
Yeah,
going, keep going.
yeah. So, oi. So I went to Iraq with my camera, um, and and yeah, sorry. Oi, oi, oi. I went to Iraq with my camera and tried to document everything in a handheld way. Um,
That's you. That's a young you over there. It looks like on the phone. Looks like a
yes.
one of those old mobile phones. And what did you, what were you hoping to do when you went there? What were you hoping to find?
See, I knew somehow that it will be very emotional to meet Iraq again. So I wanted to capture that. Uh, and the plot for the film is that, which is true. Like I was in for many years, I couldn't handle the Iraqi part of me, part of the sorrow or the war. So I tried I tried to cut it totally out. While my parents was like, you have you have Iraq is also part of you and things like that. So my family went back to Iraq every summer, but I didn't want to join them. But this time was uh, was different because my mother left a ticket for me for a week later. So that's why when I decided to take my camera and document uh, everything, well, it's a really emotional film because I mean it's documentary, and while I'm filming, suddenly my mother got a heart attack and she died in Iraq. So there was like some kind of destiny or something like that. I don't know what the right word. So I was happy to to that I went to Iraq and was, you know, even that it was hard and things like that, but I could see her before she died and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
I'm glad that it worked out and or that you were able to be there during that very difficult time.
yeah,
Um, how do you choose which projects to make a film out of? Because these are, long time commitments. So how do you know when it's right to make a film out of the story?
it's really good question because yeah, there's some. My way is always from a personal place. I try to trust that because when in my cases some of the films that I do take 2 to 3, and the last one took four and a half years. So I try to always focus on something that I can relate to, something that I somehow know about, and that I have a connection to. So I'm curious about it. It's so important that I think, yeah, when you need, in my point of view, to tell a story for others, you need somehow to dig really deeper in the story and in yourself in order to unfold these emotions for others. So it's hard for me to just take something really far away from me because I don't think I can make a good film or relevant film for others. So many of the projects that I do are some kind of personal, even that that the story is not about me but about other characters, but I can relate to some themes or some stories.
Yeah.
Like in your beginning is it was I came to Denmark when I was 12 years, so it was like from sunny Iraq to a winter landscape. That was some kind of a picture, or for me, how can I transform it into a film? What kind of meetings do you have when you enter a new country, a new culture, and how can I make it relevant for other people? Because I think with my last film, A New Beginning, there have been made so many great films about refugees, but maybe they are political, ethical, or something like that, or and we in the West we struggle, especially in Europe and in Denmark. Do we have place to take many refugees, or it's hard to integrate them and things like that? So I wanted to make a film that was not about we need more refugee or we are against refugee, but just to focus on a journey of a family that comes to, in this case, Norway, Scandinavia, and on their personal story, not about the political system or if you know. And I think, yeah, even that you might be against refugees, you still find it interesting because it's a human story. It's a story about a father and his son, and he wants him to grow up in a safe country with opportunities. Yeah.
What has it been? Yeah, I appreciate you talking about A New Beginning. I do want to ask you about that. What has it been like releasing it amidst this pandemic? How can people see the film? What are the festivals it's part of?
Yeah, we finished the film in the beginning of March, and we had the premiere in CBH Docs, and we were really waiting to show it for people in the cinemas. But then the pandemic came and everything was canceled. So the film have been screened in online for many festivals, in many festivals. With this film, somehow we made it for it's more for a big screen. It's more with poetic pictures. So, but it's interesting. I mean, people. My experience as a filmmaker is when you work with a story for like 4 years and you're with your team cutting, editing the film, you're you're looking forward to sit in a cinema and feel the audience who watch the film. To sometimes you're insecure about if that scene is good or if people laugh there and things like that. That's the interesting thing because I didn't have that opportunity because of the pandemic. So the film had been screened in festivals, but I couldn't be there physically, or the film didn't. They didn't screen the film physically. There was like in online cinemas, so there was like this missing part of it for a filmmaker like me to because it's so important for me when I have a lot of intentions in the film is to know, um, did people laugh there? Did they understand this scene? Did they understand this conflict? And yeah,
Got
but
it. Got.
yeah,
And what's been the initial audience reaction to A New Beginning?
I get people send contact me through Instagram or Facebook or things like that, and they like the films. The film, they are really they you know. For me, I wanted to make a poetic story, and I can feel that people who have watched it really appreciate the poetic part of the film. Um, and because I didn't have this experience with the cinema, sitting there and feeling the response from the audience, actually have been very very been insecure about this film. How good is it? You know, um, and it's nice to sometimes get a response from the audience. Okay, we understand your film. It's nice. It's good. Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it looks like a beautiful film, and I'm excited to for more people to see it and for to get out in the world. What was your experience? Walk us through Free My Hands, your film Free My Hands. What is that film about? Why did you want to turn it into a picture?
That actually also started from a personal perspective, because my father was like against Saddam Hussein, so we flee Iraq, and for many years since I was a kid, when we sit around the table and we eat dinner, I could listen to some conversation that my parents tried to protect us from, like the horrible things they have experienced throughout the Saddam regime, the stories about the your neighbor can listen to your conversations and all of that. So I was curious about that time, that I was too small, too young to understand that. So I was curious about what was these things that was so horrible in Saddam time that my parents tried to protect us. So I wanted to make a documentary about that, and I was lucky to find an Iraqi man who have been in a prison, one of Saddam Hussein's prisons. So it's about dealing with trauma in Denmark, and yeah, that he because he was in a prison in Iraq during Saddam time, he experienced a lot of horrible things, and in this film he reflects or try to remember some of these things there, and trying to somehow make sense of his experiences, understand what kind of wound it can leave on a human being.
Yeah,
I
that makes
don't know
sense.
if,
No,
yeah.
what were the biggest surprises or challenges you had in making this film?
With that film, it was really difficult to, because it's a psychological somehow project, because you had the character have to go back to uh, like tough times in his life, and how could he go through that without uh, being in more pain. So we talked with what do you call it, psychiatrist.
Yeah, psychiatrist.
Yeah, and they said that it's okay, and it was really about building this trust between me and the character, and telling him about the purpose. Listen, there's so many people with Iraqi background that are in Denmark, and they struggle with trauma, post trauma, and lots of the Danish society don't understand that. So this story might give them an understanding why these men have trouble getting integrated in the Danish society, because they have these traumas and nobody talk about that. So can we make a film about that, and going back to the times when you were in prison and things like that?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and that one, yeah, it was great. It was screened in some events with human rights and anti-torture things, events and NGOs.
Yeah, I hear you. Last question for you. What is who are your inspirations as a filmmaker?
It's many, but there is a film director whose name is Errol Morris from the United States. I don't know if you know him, but he's a great filmmaker, and he's one of my inspiration. Technically, visually, if you see my films, you can see there's like a put a lot of work in the visuals, and I think Errol Morris just like giving his documentaries more like a visual approach.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate Errol Morris and many others also.
Awesome. Well, let's get your website up on the screen, alamohsen.com. So I want people to check your website out and learn about your projects there. Congratulations on your new film, and thanks for being on the broadcast.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's our show today, everyone. Make sure to subscribe to my social media to learn who'll be on the show in subsequent editions, and try to take care of the art as it will take care of you. Stay safe, everyone.